Hello, welcome to The Footprint. We are here again to walk through a certain part of history. Walk through the life of a noble gentleman, a fine military man, a soldier at heart, a soldier indeed. We want to see how he made it, how he even got into it, and his some of his encounters. Coup d'etats here, coup d'etats everywhere. The man is an embodiment of coup d'etats. And you've been hearing the promo. Today, please, I urge you to join us as we experience. Take a walk through the life of this military man.
Born in Tigby, a mile from Keta in the Gold Coast, retired Captain Sowu spent his early days in Lome and then in Accra. He joined the military and started working in the logistics department, where he worked closely with former military ruler Major General E.K. Kotoka, who at the time was a lieutenant colonel. He played a key role in the coup d'etat that toppled Nkrumah in 1966. Later in 1967, he foiled an attempted coup d'etat against General Joseph Arthur Ankara, who was the head of state at the time. Retired Captain Sowu will tell the rest of his story on Footprints now.
Captain, good to have you.
Yes.
It's been a while.
It is.
Where have you been hiding?
Because I'm a pensioner. You people, don't want to deal with pensioners.
But you've been on pension for almost half a century.
Yeah, and I'm the senior pensioner.
Senior pensioner. I like that. How old are you now?
I was 80 last year, 24th December.
Wow.
Yes, and it's called GRACE.
The Grace.
Grace.
Captain, thank you very much for making time for us this morning.
Yes.
And
the gratitude is mine.
We've heard too many stories about Captain Sowu. Who is Sowu? Where were you born? Because you used to talk about Tudu and some other places.
Yes.
I'm confused.
All right. I was already having a name, Mensa, in my mother's womb, because I was the third son of my parents. And then I arrived on a Saturday, Kwame, Tradiampong, Kwame. And then it was 24th December when everybody they were preparing for Christmas. And my mother was in labor, and she had a very difficult birth. So when I finally landed, then my grandmother exclaimed, Mauli, Emmanuel. So 3 names, just by arriving, I had 3 names already. In the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then when I went to, when they were going to christen me, they didn't find any other name but a name of a prophet, Joel. So they gave me Joel. And then I went into the army, and I said the only rank that I admired and I liked was captain. And that if I ever joined the army, when I reached the rank of captain, I would leave. So I left when I became captain. So my full name
where were you born? Where?
24th December,
Where?
1938.
Where?
Well, in Tigby.
Tigby.
A 1 mile from Kita.
Okay.
That's my holy village.
And you started your early education where?
But my early education, my grandmother was in Lome. So my father was then at Nkrumah. So I went to Lome and spent my early days with my grandmother. And this was around about the 38 up to 1945 or so. Then my father came for me, and we came to Accra.
So you started basic education speaking French?
French.
Do you still speak French?
Oh, well, enough to go to the market and buy something to eat. And so we came and we lived at a place called Ayalolo.
In Accra?
Yes, near Arena, we stayed there for some time. Then we moved to Lawson, Agbado line, Adedenko. And in 1948...
Because at the time, Agbado was a big name.
Yes, Hayward Mills' father.
And then Hayward Mills.
Yes, Hayward Mills, their father. So his house, that house was not very far from where we lived. And
so this is the Kolebu to Accra
exactly,
road.
exactly.
So you were by the main road because
yes,
it was a big road at the time.
At that time,
yeah.
And so there was the looting in 1948, and the looting where Chandarams, Chalarams and Co were burning. Accra was burning.
So Chandirams,
yeah,
Chalarams
yeah.
were Indian-owned,
yes,
because large supermarket, and I say large,
yes,
because
those they were the in
they were
thing.
there, yeah.
The in thing, and
then Glamour,
yes, and AG Leventis, and those
yes.
were, and we used to have the bus Amete. You know, the front was flat, so we call it Amete, and then King Kong buses. Those were the days. And then we had 1948 coup, looting.
Yeah.
And then the soldiers went to the castle where Emery shot one of them. That led to the 48 shootings, if you remember.
The crossroads shooting.
The crossroads shootings.
Christianborg.
Yes. So they looted the stores. And
so this is Sergeant Emery.
Sergeant Emery.
Good.
And then, so we had, we had public toilets. All you needed to do was to take your bucket, your sponge and everything. You went to the public place and you had your bath. You went to and had your bath and everything and came home. So after the looting, they sent soldiers and policemen to search houses. And people didn't want them to be, caught in the web. So they came and dumped most of the things in the public bathrooms.
Wow.
So we would go there, and some people started smoking and all that.
Okay, so secondary education.
Yes, and then I finished, and I was in Odogono Secondary School.
Osa.
The
great Osa.
Odogono. I went to Form 1, and then somehow the first term or second term, they said, well, I have to go to Form 2. So they sent me to Form 2.
No, you are too good.
I don't know.
You are too good for your own good.
I don't know about that. So then I was in Form 2, and then I was doing boxing. You can see, this is what happened. And then my trainer was...
So somebody gave you a blow that dislocated your tooth.
Yeah, up to now.
And removed it from the front to the back.
And my trainer was Alassane Brahma, who was the amateur boxing middleweight champion.
That's correct.
And we were in Community Center Boys Club.
Which is at Accra.
At Accra.
Yeah.
And then we had a tournament. Oh, by this time we had moved to Tudu.
Okay.
We had moved to Tudu.
Okay.
And we were having a tournament with Koforidua community something CYO, Koforidua CYO club,
which is a boxing tournament.
Boxing tournament.
So that's a Catholic youth organization at the time.
And my name was Teddy Tenants.
Oh yeah.
And that day, it was Dove's Clubhouse in Tudu. You remember there used to be a clubhouse in Tudu for Lebanon.
Lebanon Club.
Yes. And it was not far from our house. You know the Baxmatis.
Yeah, the Baxmatis.
And the Raleigh Secondary School was there, and we're just around there. So
I remember the Baxmatis house, the story building.
Right.
Yeah.
We were behind that.
Good.
And they beat me that day.
Oh, you mean you were defeated?
Oh, master, the blows. I thought I was fighting about 6 people.
You mean you are giving torrential blows?
Charlie, and blood was oozing all over the place.
And nobody was stopping.
Somebody ran to our house and to my father and said, Mr. Sowu, Agbobile.
Hey!
So my father, my father sat up and waited for me. And I didn't know he was hiding and waiting. When I came, I was tiptoeing and I had my own. So he waited until I opened the door, and I was going to it and I said, Joel! And I froze. And when I went, he looked at me and said, is this what you want to do? I didn't answer. He said, go to bed. Within 3 months, he went and bought a stamp, put it at my back, put him in a vehicle, straight to Kita, Zion College. So that
you can leave you in Accra.
Go and do the boxing.
Oh, so you then moved from Osa to Zion College.
Yeah.
And this is where you completed your secondary education.
When I came out, There was the, from
Ministries.
you see Accountant General.
Yeah.
After Accountant General, you see Auditor General. So when I saw Auditor General, I just said to myself, I'm going to work here. And I walked to see the day. In those days, they had a day watchman. And I asked the man, I want to see the Auditor General. He said, what do you want him for? I said, I want to come and work here. He said, you write the application? I said, no. He said, you crazy? I said, why? I want to see the man. Okay, go. He did for the top. So I went, saw Mr. Sabine. I showed him my results. He just shoved it aside. He said, what games were you playing in school? I said, I was playing.
You didn't mention boxing?
No, I didn't. I was still boxing in school. So I said, I was doing high jump. I was the third seed in table tennis, and I was the goalkeeper. He said, oh, is that so? Then he said, okay. He pressed what you call the intercom in those days. He said, Mr. Parks, there is a young man here who wants to work with us. Would you interview him?
So this is a white man?
This is a white man. So he said, go downstairs, first floor, ask for Mr. Parks. I got to Mr. Parks. I showed him the thing. He put it aside. Said, what games were you playing in school? This time I mentioned football first. I said, which position? Goalkeeper. Oh, I was also a hockey goalkeeper. And we started discussing techniques of goalkeeping. Not knowing that was the interview. Then he said, when do you want to start? I said, tomorrow. He said, but tomorrow is Friday. Come on Monday. Monday I went, they gave me a table, sent me to accounts department to work. I worked for about 3 weeks. Then they brought me paper. I said, I should write application. And I was the first person. Then they gave me to audit crown agents and embassies accounts. And then I remember I queried K. Gbedima. He was then the Minister for Finance. They went, he had an empress and he didn't retire the empress.
And you, small boy, you started querying people?
They nearly chopped my head off. When they saw, in those days you had what they call the float file. Yeah. So whatever anybody wrote, it was, they nearly chopped my head off. So I said, no, but the man has not retired. And the man wrote back and retired the empress.
What was Gbedema's position at the time?
He was the Minister for Finance.
Okay. At the time?
Yeah, at the time. He was the Minister for Finance.
This is under Nkrumah?
Yes. So it was at that time that I heard that they were taking people in the military. So I went to the exam. We were waiting. I was waiting for the results. I just packed my things. I never told anybody. I never told my father. I never told anybody. I just packed my things into military.
You didn't tell your brothers?
I never. And then when I got there, I nearly ran back. Because you got in there and your names were already there. So they call you, we were called officer cadets in those days. Officer cadets. So then they would throw boots for you to go and pick up. And you go and it's 110, 19. So you pick it and if you are size 9, then you start going looking around for somebody who has size 9, the other side. Yeah, because it's only one to match. Then you do exchange. And those days were hectic days. And
so which year would this be?
This was 1960, 61, around about that time. And, Master, the military was a different world.
So now you were in the military academy?
I've entered the military academy.
How old were you then?
Oh, 38, 60, calculate.
So you were 22?
You're about that.
Years, yes.
And you know why they teach you drill? Because the first thing, I can't demonstrate, otherwise I would have demonstrated for you to see.
You mean you want to demonstrate
how you were supposed to walk?
At age 80?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. You see, you were cadets and until you spent 6 weeks, this was how you were supposed to walk. Wherever you were going. 180 paces per minute.
Oh. And for real?
Wherever you were going. Wherever you were going, you were to walk 180 paces per minute.
And what was the point?
They are debraining you. And you don't think. They think for you. That's why you go through the drill. Right 10, left 10, about 10, quick march, stop. because they're removing all the civilian, we call them dozy ideas from your mind. And you know why they say do before you complain? You people said it is do zombie. But why is it that you talk about trust and obey? It's the same thing turned the other way around. Trust and obey is the same thing as obey before complain.
Well, I mean, you were debrained or unbrained or rebrained, so your view is different from mine.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying
I
is that
will not attempt to go to the military.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that when they say trust and obey in Christian life, that is you because you have absolute trust in God, in Christ.
I get it.
So God says move, you move. You don't ask questions. In the military, is the same thing. Obey before complain. We are in this area. Let's say that we are in a war situation where we are sitting here, and somebody is on a lookout, watching for the enemy, and he sees somebody raising a gun to shoot. Is he going to say please? He would have lost time. All you hear is down. What do you do?
Obey.
You just go down. All right, Jinaho, and wait. You go to Asamando and go and get the answer there.
Anyway,
so,
Captain, we are going to go
fast
further into now that you have passed out and entered the military, how things panned out in the military and how you later on became associated with one coup d'etat after another. You are still watching The Footprints, and we are talking to Captain Joel Sowu. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. This is The Footprint. And I've been speaking with Captain Joel Sowu. And for those of you who just joined us, there's a lot more that we are going to talk about. You have missed, but not so much. Now, Captain Sowu is now a second lieutenant who has just come out of the military academy. Now, where did you have your military training? Just in Ghana?
In Ghana.
In Ghana.
Yes.
Okay.
Then when I came out.
So when you came out, you're now commissioned as a second lieutenant. Where was your first posting?
That was Recce Regiment.
Where is that?
Recce Regiment, that is in Birmingham.
In Birmingham.
Yes, we use the armored cars. So that's our barracks was called Gonda Barracks.
Gonda Barracks.
So anybody who hears about Gonda Barracks is Recce Regiment.
Oh, nice. But I mean, Gonda Barracks
was so popular.
In my thinking, became popular with Jerry Rawlings.
Right. Yes. But that was
with Kutu Achampon, we knew Arakan Barracks.
Yes. And Arakan and Gonda were just opposite.
I didn't want to know.
Okay.
I mean, we feared these places, you could only hear Gonda Barracks.
It's called the Cool Hill.
The Cool Hill.
So that's just in passing. And then we came out, and I had to go and do my young officers course in Britain.
Okay.
It's called the Royal Armor Corps Center
in Dorset.
In Dorset. I went to do that and came back.
And
when I came back, I was sent to Ho.
To Ho Mortar Regiment?
No, Recce Regiment. Recce Regiment was one squadron was in Accra, one squadron was in Ho.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I was in Ho, and then they decided that to shuffle the units around. Then I left Ho and came to Accra. Alpha Squadron.
Again.
Then those who were in
Accra,
that was Bravo Squadron. Then they went to
remember
Ho.
some of the names?
Oh, yeah. In those days, Major Achab. Who was Major Achab? You might have heard of Achab. Major Daku.
So this will be getting closer to 66.
Yes. And before 66, I was posted from Recce. Then I went to, I think around about 64, 65 or so. I had to go, I was sent to DQMG. That is Quartermaster General's Department.
What's that?
They are logistics. They are involved in logistics. So I worked directly. I worked under General Kotoka. He was then.
He was a quartermaster.
Yes, he was a quartermaster general.
Quartermaster general.
Yes.
So head of logistics for
the whole of the Ghana.
And forces. You worked under him as a young officer.
He was the quartermaster general. There was a major and then I was the third. I was a staff captain crewmate. And what happened was that the major went on leave. So it means that I had to combine.
Remember his name?
Oh, Duamekpo, Major Duamekpo.
Duamekpo.
Yes. I had to then combine his duties with my duties. Now then I had to work directly with Kutuka.
General Kutuka. Was he general at the time?
Oh, no, he was then, I think, Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay.
Kutuka. So now, because of that, we became bonded.
Familiar with him, yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of things happen. I can't say those outside because we have the code of conduct. You know, I cannot. There are some certain things that I cannot say.
I understand.
So we were very close. Now I was then a lieutenant. Remember. Then, because the workload was very, very heavy, I would close at 1:30, go home, eat, rest for about 1 hour. Then I would come back to the office, close the doors, and there were certain letters, you call them directed letters, a letter that he would have directed because before closing time, a lot of bombs would have come. So he would have given instructions on the letters. Then I'll pick all of that. Those that you have to write, I'll write and then I'll send the letter to the ops room where we have typists 24 hours. So in the morning when he came to office, things that he has directed me to do, early in the morning by 7:30 or 8, when he got to the office, they were ready for typing. And I didn't know that the man was taking notice of that. So one night, about 10 o'clock in the evening, 9:30, 10, he came, banged the windows, open up. I said, who is that? I said, this is the quartermaster general. He said, is that what you have been doing? I come to the office in the morning and I direct, I give instructions on the letters by 2 p.m. the previous day. Then by
8 a.m. in the morning, it's done.
You've already worked on all these things. So by 1:30, I saw on the float file, Lieutenant Joel Kwame Sowu was to be given pay of higher rank and should be, and also to be given acting rank of a captain. Okay?
Recommendation.
Right. So that's how I became a captain.
Wow.
At that time.
Wow.
Then I was posted back to to Reki.
Who this time?
No,
Back to
Accra. And then I became the Alpha Squadron Commander.
Okay.
And also the technical adjutant of the unit and also the sports officer of the unit. Keep that at the back of your mind. It's very important.
Very important.
Very important.
Well, so now that you are back there, yes. 66, Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown.
Exactly.
Who was responsible for the overthrow? And I'm talking about the military.
Yes. Let me say that before the 66, from 64, 65, 66, issues in the country, things were not really going on well. Shortage of food items, things were terrible. And, Kulungugu had happened.
What's Kulungugu?
Kulungugu, that was when there was an attempt of Kwame Nkrumah's life. He paid a visit and on the way when he was coming.
So he paid a visit to a place called Kulungugu?
Yeah, he was doing a tour of the north.
Yeah, at the time.
At the time, yes. So
but
he had to pass through.
That's present day upper.
Yeah, I think upper east.
Upper east, yes.
And he had to pass through Kulungu. I mean, it's just like you are going to Accra, you pass through Awushi or something. Okay. So I believe we were told that it was not even a scheduled stop. Okay? It wasn't a scheduled stop, but Tawi Adamafiu and who were his lieutenants, had to make him stop. And there was a small girl who was supposed to present a bouquet or to him or something. And then what happened was that there was a grenade.
A grenade.
A grenade. So which was thrown. And
you mean it was in the flowers? It was in a bouquet, or it was thrown at him?
Well, what we were told that it was in the bouquet.
So that's the small girl died? Okay, you don't.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything that I don't know. But somebody did a program about it recently, the man who was actually there. So all these things, and people, Preventive Detention Act, you'll be there, they knocked on your door, call, and, you know, they suspected that you were going to stage a coup against Kwame Nkrumah, and you were arrested and were sent to Sowu.
But you people were in charge of that. You, the military, you were arresting people. And
no, but the military officers were also being arrested.
By other military officers.
No, but then we have the what you call the military intelligence. That was really very powerful, and they were virtually, you know, separated from the regular officers. And then you had the presidential own guard regiment, which was they were only to protect the person of Kwame Nkrumah. And you know the constitution at that time said nobody should have a private army. So by extension, Kwame Nkrumah had a personal army, which was against the constitution, which a lot of people didn't know. And at a certain point in time, Kwame Nkrumah wanted to use the CPP flag as to replace the national flag. This a lot of people didn't know. And then they were going around the units and asking officers and men to become CPP members, to get CPP. And that was, to me, that was the beginning of the downfall of Kwame Nkrumah. And that was the beginning of the split of the army into pro and against.
Because I have an account in a book written by a name I don't recall, about the position of
General
Okran at the time,
yes,
against the politicization of the military.
Yes, but he was a member of the National Liberation Council.
Well, he then became, later became.
Yeah, so did he change his mind?
Well, I mean, it had to work that way for him to execute whatever he thought should be done.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that
this is just in passing.
Characterizing the introduction of politics into the military.
Yes, but what I'm saying I'm saying that it was Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of politicizing the military by asking the officers and men to become CPP, to hold CPP cards. A person like me, I never voted when I was in the army, because you entered the army, you were told, don't do politics. Don't have a politician as a friend. Don't do business. Don't have a businessman as a friend. So some of us, we just went in there to soldier. So, and I'm saying that when he started, Brigadier Bawa was actually moving from unit to unit.
Doing what?
Asking people, you know, trying to sensitize us.
What was his role at the time?
He was the brigade commander.
Okay.
And he was close to Kwame Nkrumah.
When you say brigade commander, what does it mean to the civilian?
Brigade commander is the military. We have various, shall we say, echelons. Okay. You have the section. That's about 9 people. All right. Then you have a platoon. That's it. We have 3 sections. Okay. That becomes a platoon. Then 3 platoons, and will give you a company. Okay? And 3 companies will give you a battalion. 3 or 4 with a company, with a HQ company. That takes care of supernumeraries, you understand? So that will give you a battalion. And so many battalions with the supporting arms, like the Recce Regiment, the Mortar Regiment, and other ancillary units added to it, gives you a brigade. Then you need a commander to command that.
So that was huge.
Very huge. To be a brigade commander, you had...
Good. So General Bawa would... Okay, so so let's come back to the coup that...
Yes, so I'm saying, I'm giving you in fact, I'm virtually telling you the basis for the coup. So things were not really going on well.
Yes.
Going well. And everybody was complaining. And people were just being arrested left, right, center. And in Kwame Nkrumah's own people were also afraid that Kwame Nkrumah would get them arrested. And Kwame Nkrumah decided that he was on a peace mission to Hanoi. You know,
in Vietnam.
Then At the meantime, so Kotoka was then the brigade commander in Kumasi, the upper echelon, second brigade commander, and Afrifa was his brigade major. All right, brigade major is virtually the man who moves the. He is the adjutant of the brigade. Yeah, he is the one he is the eyes and ears of the commander. When he speaks, you understand. So he can. So they were able to organize the troops for the 1966 coup.
Okay.
So as they were organizing and they were going to move.
So this is General Kotoka.
Colonel Kotoka at the
Colonel
time.
Kotoka.
Yes.
And then
Afrifa.
Afrifa was which captain?
He was a major.
A major.
He was a major.
Mm-hmm.
So when they moved, they call it Operation Cold Chop. I think Operation Cold Chop. At that time, I was talking about Presidential Own Guard Regiment.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They were better equipped. They had the best of everything, well equipped. Whilst our soldiers
have torn uniform.
Right.
Yes.
And this was not,
not regular for
no.
An army.
So and things were difficult in town. Things were really difficult. Things were so so I remember my wife's auntie. She was one of the women organizers of CPP.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 23rd
of
February,
mm-hmm.
I was then on company's commander's course in Teshi. I was resident there. Then she wanted me to pick her to do something. So I came, and when I picked her, we're in the car and we're going, she was insulting us, insulting soldiers. Now you soldiers, you are playing vuo. It means that you only eat, banku. You don't do anything. Look at Nigeria. They've staged a coup nicely. And you people, you are here and you are eating banku. And
And she was a CPP woman.
CPP woman. Mm-hmm. It gives you that even the CPP themselves, they wanted something to happen. If you read from that and you see something in there. So I didn't say anything. So when 66 happened, then I went back to Teshi. About 4 a.m.
You mean after the coup d'etat?
No, before. That was 23rd. I'm talking about 23rd.
23rd February 66.
Yeah. So I went back, slept 24th dawn. Then field engineers moved. And they started singing the war songs. And they were all, we are military academy and the field engineers were just neighbors.
Next to each other, yeah.
So when they moved, then the news filtered in that the coup was on the way.
And you went to join?
And I was, so I by some design, all the officers who were on course rushed to my room to find out what was happening. And this excitement, everybody was talking. But what they didn't realize was while they were talking, I was dressing up. Charlie, I love action.
Oh.
Man.
So, Oyasis coup.
I love action. Look, when Kwame Nkrumah said we were going to go to Rhodesia, you remember, you were young on that. He announced when the Rhodesia crisis was on, Ian Smith, I was the first to send my squadron to military academy for them to do examinations and ready because we had the red muffler and everything. I was prepared to move my troops.
Yeah.
Charlie, I love action.
Thank you. And you still love action.
So by the time they realized, I slipped through, entered my car, and I was in Rekki. When I got there, they had moved. And then I saw an armored car, and they said the gun was not working. I jumped into the car, checked the thing, Charlie. The thing was in perfect working order. So I called my driver. I said, it was called Agbuchi. I said, Agbuchi, are you scared? He said, once I'm with you, I'm not afraid. Because my ferret, what is written on it is cocksure.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Cocksure. So when I came, so I moved. The first place I moved to was Flagstaff House. I realized that they had, use the HE, the 60, the HE gun to break through the side of the gate. So I moved to Broadcasting House. Then when I moved to Broadcasting House, I saw the soldiers, instead of entering the place, they were all lined up by the walls. And I said, hey, are you supposed to enter and capture the place, or you are supposed to be here and get the place? So I cocked my gun. And I said, if you don't move, I'll mow all of you down in a minute. Then I said, don't be afraid. I'm supporting you. Then they moved. Anyway.
Into to Broadcasting House.
Then they moved into Broadcasting. Then I turned around and came. When I came.
To seize the Broadcasting House.
Yeah. But you see, they had, apparently, Kotoka had made the announcement. But the battalion that are supposed to enter the place and sit so that nobody comes to take over the place, they were just...
Well, they hadn't experienced it before.
So, Charlie, you have to ginger them up to the thing. So,
and at this time, did Kotoka know that you were doing this?
No, but I didn't even know, I had not even seen the man.
So you heard some people were doing coup and you joined?
That's me, actually. So I came back. Came back to Flagstaff House. Then Flagstaff House, they were still firing there. And then so
this will be the exchanges between the presidential guard and the coup plotters.
Right. So it's called, we used to call him Goldfinger, Colonel Asari. He was then a Lieutenant Colonel Asari also. He was in charge of 2nd Battalion. Then instructions came that he should tell Colonel Zanarigo to tell the POG Raboy to stop firing.
So Colonel Zanarigo at the time...
He was the commanding officer of the Presidential Own Guard Regiment. And Charlie, everybody feared the man. Yeah. That he had some powers. And truly, if the man stood before you, Charlie, it would be difficult to look into his face. No, he's dead.
Not too long ago.
It's about 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So then I was around with my ferret, and he said he would not go and tell him. And I said, I would tell him. So I drove my armored car to his Land Rover, and I said, sir, I'm asked to tell you that you should tell your troops to lay down their arms. I will sit in my armored car. I won't do anything to you. Then he the Flagstaff, there used to be a space at the side of the back here. So he said, I am Colonel Zanarigo, your commanding officer, please lay down your arms and come out. So finally, to cut a long story short, they came out. And if you meet Colonel Oting, Reverend Colonel Oting, he will tell you he was an officer in the POGR who was in Flagstaff House at that time. So he can also give you certain details about what I'm talking about. Then he came back. So
at this point, the coup had succeeded.
Yes, it did. So I took Colonel Zanarigo, escorted him. These people march out. Colonel Oting marched his troops out, and I escorted him to police headquarters.
In your...
No, he was in his Land Rover. I was in my ferret.
Okay.
Now, something interesting happened.
I'll come back to the police headquarters, but at this time, was it Harley who was still head of police?
Yeah, and this thing was done in conjunction with the police.
The police.
So you can see the first announcement that came was that the armed forces, in conjunction with the police, have taken over the reins of government. That was the thing. So,
okay, so now that they have taken over the reins of government, we'll be taking a short break.
Yes.
This is the Footprint, and we've been speaking with Captain Joel Sowu, and it's getting interesting. At this point, a young military officer who has who smells coup d'etat and jumps into action and is blessed to be alive. And he's still here, and he's 80 years and over and still counting. But this is the Footprint, just walking through the trajectory and the pathways of his life. Maybe a thing or two for us to learn. We'll be right back. Welcome back from our break, and this is the Footprint. We've been speaking with Captain Joel Sowu, and he's been taking us through his life, his time with at the military academy, and his early days in the military. And he's just walked us through how the 1966 coup that ousted President Kwame Nkrumah, or Prime Minister, or whichever President Nkrumah at the time in 1966. So at this time, where was Nkrumah?
Yeah, Nkrumah actually never returned to Ghana. Like I said to you, he was in Hanoi. From
he was going to make peace there.
Peace there, but he had the war behind him. So he was with people like Kwesi Ama and some top politicians with that. But unfortunately, most of them deserted him. And then
when they heard of the coup,
when they heard of
they left him and
actually
ran away.
he was in Hanoi. He was in Hanoi when the coup took place. And then I think they were having dinner when they, in a very diplomatically announced to him that there was a problem in his country. And so that's why he had to leave Hanoi immediately and quickly. So he finally ended up in Guinea, where President Sekou Touré decided to make him a co-president of Guinea. And then from Guinea...
But Nkrumah's own account would have it that, you know, he had a loud welcome in Guinea, Conakry at the time.
Yes.
And Sekou Touré spoke in French to the massive crowd, and he didn't understand French. It was only after the speech that he realized that he had been made president.
Yes, co-president.
Co-president.
Yeah, that's it. So if you remember, Kwame, we had the Ghana-Guinea-Mali Union.
That's correct.
And when Guinea became independent, Ghana gave Kwame Nkrumah sent, I think, 10 million
pounds
at that time.
Yeah.
So there has been that close collaboration between Kwame Nkrumah and so some of us were not surprised about that happening. And so from there, there is something I didn't tell you about the 66 coup. It was so popular that the masses that rushed to the streets, rushed to James Fort, all the political prisoners who were... It
was like a second independence.
Virtually.
I mean, all the accounts would attest to this one.
It was a very popular coup at that time.
Yeah.
So I needed people to remember that this was what happened.
Okay.
You know.
Now, when Nkrumah was
in Guinea,
I remember that he made a broadcast.
Yes, many. Several broadcasts. Several broadcasts.
Which was beamed into Ghana, right?
Yes, which was beamed into Ghana, and where he was saying that we would hear about him very soon. And this is also important for you, that he will invade Ghana with Guinean troops. Okay?
He did say that?
Yes, that he was going to invade. And this played a very major part for me in 67 when we get there. So keep this at the back of your mind.
Yeah, so we are actually in 67 because Nkrumah would have been in Guinea for 1 year.
Yes,
as
and he had been doing various broadcasts.
Incursions and sending people into various, you know, and then suddenly, sometime in April of 1967, you were involved in another coup d'etat.
17th April.
So this time you were...
I was not involved in the coup d'etat, but I foiled an attempted coup d'etat.
So this is the reference is made of a certain Arthur Yeboah, which is the popular Arthur Yeboah.
Lieutenant Samuel Benjamin Arthur and Lieutenant Yeboah.
Where was Arthur from?
Arthur is a Fanti.
A Fanti man. A Fanti man doing coup?
He's an Aparahara.
Let's not go there. This is 2019. This is 2019. That could be offensive. Okay. So
but I am an Aparagoma.
Aparagoma.
He's
I know. Yeah, those were popular terminologies in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. So Arthur Yeboah.
And second lieutenant
Post-coup.
Yes.
And they were all from the Recce Regiment?
Yes. They were Recce Regiment, Bravo Squadron, Recce Regiment, Ho, stationed at Ho.
So they were stationed at Ho?
Yes.
And they decided to do the coup and everything.
Yes.
And we are told that on the day of the coup d'etat,
Yes.
they
Of the attempted coup.
Attempted coup.
Yes.
They started marching from Ho.
Yeah, they came all the way from Ho to Shy Hills. And we were, from our various accounts we got to know later on, it was, in fact, apparently, Yeboah and Post-coup, Second Lieutenant Post-coup, apparently from the accounts we got, they didn't even know that they were coming to stage a coup.
Oh.
The Accra deceived them.
So after Nkrumah, when Kotoka led the coup d'etat with Frifa, right?
Yes.
Who became the head of state and under which circumstances?
General Ankara, Lieutenant General Ankara became.
So why? Because he wasn't involved in the coup.
Right. When you're going to stage a coup d'etat, now you have to pay me consultancy for this one.
No, for your own good.
In a situation where a group of people want to stage a coup d'etat, for security reasons, it will be difficult to say, when we succeed, you become minister for so and so. This will be the head of state, or this will be, because if that thing got into the hands of, the authorities, you might be in trouble. So it was difficult to even pinpoint one person and say you will be the leader. Now, so what happens is that when it happened, they had to look for somebody who is popular, who can resonate with the Ghanaians, with the population.
And the military as well.
Yes. So that then...
But Kotoka was not...
Kotoka was virtually...
Quiet.
Yeah, Kotoka was a lay-by in the military. A lot of... He was not a social type. He didn't socialize so much with...
But I hear he was very respected.
Very disciplined, respected, and, when Finchim... Because I worked under him, so I knew the guy, but at heart, he was a very good person.
Good.
So, General Ankara...
Where was he at the time? Who was he?
He had been dismissed. Lieutenant General Ankara was the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff under Otu, who was the Chief of Defense Staff. At that time, Kwame Nkrumah was playing divide and rule with them. We were told Kwame Nkrumah would invite the Chief of Defense Staff to his office. And whilst talking to the Chief of Defense Staff, he would have asked them to tell the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, Ankara, to come. And he would arrange the thing in such a way that as the Chief of Defense Staff was leaving Nkrumah's office, they have asked Ankara also to go. So they would have bypassed each other whilst going. So this one said, so you've gone to make a concern about me. This one too would think that, so they are calling you to come and make a concern about me. You understand? Yeah. So there was bad blood between the two of them. So at the end of the day, Kwame Nkrumah dismissed the two of them.
Oh, okay.
And Ankara was also very popular with the soldiers, and a lot of people empathized with him.
Okay.
So I think Kokufuka and Co also realized that this is the right person to.
All right. So Ankara would then become the head of state after. So Arthur and Yeboah were going to overthrow Ankara. Is that correct?
Yes. The NLC, the National Liberating Council.
Okay, which was led by Ankara.
Ankara, yes.
So they were going to overthrow them.
Yes.
And where did you come in?
Right. So, this is going to be a long story.
This story of Arthur, Yeboah, and did you shoot them?
No, I didn't.
So who shot them?
I thought you said when we come back next time. Yeah,
but this is a yes or no question. So
no.
So you did not?
I did not shoot them.
But who did?
Oh, you are going into the story. So now I take over from you. So
okay, so
watchers.
Let me come back to you. Okay, so now that we know about this coup d'etat, which was attempted by officers from the Reki regiment from Ho, driving all the way from Ho to Accra to come and overthrow General Nkrumah. And this coup d'etat was foiled. And some way, somehow, once again, Captain Sowu found himself very close to the action. But for this episode of this program, this is where we like to draw the curtains. Many thanks for watching. This is The Footprint. My name is Samuel Atamensa. Same time next week, just make a date with us.